Alright, y'all. Another Tupac topic. This just came to me. Yeah, suppose Tupac had lived, never got shot, continued his career of dissing people, continued his phenomenal music career. What would have happened? Let's say the situation with Death Row when they jumped Orlando Anderson never took place. And he continued on Death Row. Um, well, that Dogfather album still would have been a flop. Machiavelli would have sold. It didn't sell. It wouldn't have sold as much as All Eyes on Me, but it still would have been considered a success. Uh, but eventually, I could see Tupac and Suge Knight falling out. I could see Tupac leaving Death Row. I can see that going. I can see that. I can just see, he not happy and shit. They not getting paid, and that would be chaotic. And that right there. Um, he leave Death Row. Snoop later on leave Death Row. Master P probably would have never blew up. If Tupac would have lived, the down south era, I don't think would have never blew up like it did. Tupac was that void, was that missing void, and that gave way to a person like Master P to blow up like he did. Tupac would have lived, no way Master P would have blew up in the South. No fucking way. Tupac was too fucking big, had too much of a fucking presence, had too much energy to let unarticulate trap rapper blow up in the South. The South wasn't even buzzing back then. I mean, the South had a underground buzz, but the South wasn't no major players yet. They was on their way though. They was coming up, but they wasn't no major players yet. Master P wouldn't have blew up like he did. Maybe he would have blew up at a later date, but not at that time that he did. If Pac was still alive, Pac would have still been dominating. Pac probably would have moved down. Pac already had a house in Atlanta, so he probably, if he left Death Row, he probably would have went and came back down to the South. He probably would have got with some South producers. I don't know. Well, yeah, probably not. If he left Death Row, that would have been another fucking. That would have been crazy. That would have been. Oh man, that would have been war. That would have been war right there. Cause you know how Suge was. Suge just ain't gonna just let that shit slide like that. Suge gonna be harassing niggas and shit, intimidating niggas. It's gonna be awful. It's gonna be bad. So somebody probably got shot. So either way, man, it's hard to see if Pop would have lived. Cause that major thing would be him and Suge, how long they would have lasted together. Probably maybe another year or two, maybe 2 more years they would have lasted together. I'm not. It's hard to say, man. It's hard to say. Cause Pac's mindset was so much on death. It's hard to say. It's hard to say. That was purely his destiny to die, man. My destiny is to die. That was purely his destiny to die. He knew he was gonna die. The movie didn't touch on that. Like Outlaws don't even touch on that. Like Pac knew he was gonna die. Not Noble be acting like Pac didn't think about dying. But we all know Noble didn't know Pac that much. Even Edie though, even Edie was with Pac since Brenda got a baby, man. So Edie should know a little bit more. Edie should talk up a little bit more. Edie don't be saying shit. Be letting Noble do all the talking. Nigga, Noble only knew Pac for fucking 6, 7 months. Noble need to shut up, and sit back and let Edie somebody else do more of the talking, man. But it seemed like, but Edie don't even talk about how Pac felt about death and he knew he was gonna die. I guess Pac never talked to them niggas in deep conversation or something, cause they don't be talking about that shit. But Pac in his music always saying, I'ma die, and I'ma die. This I don't have time. We don't have time to do this. We don't have time to waste time. Our time is limited and all this shit. But I don't hear nobody ever talk that knew him stress that enough about he knew his time was up. The man must have had nightmares and visions of his death because he articulates in the visual form of describing the way he dies, and he dies just like how he described. It's crazy, it's spooky as shit. But if he lived, like I said, I see Static with Suge and Death Row. I don't see him being long. I don't see him being there too long. Maybe a two more years on Death Row. And like I said, Master P wouldn't have blew up. The South wouldn't have blew up like they did. And Bad Boy would have still been there competing though. It still would have been Bad Boy in the West. It's still been the West and the East competing like the two kings of the hip hop industry. Still going at it. But Pac had so many enemies with this and so many people. They would have came back on him. They would have came back on him hard, and they would have came back on Pac with some career-ending disses. And Pac had such a strong following. If they would have, came out with showing Pac, talking soft, like that Teenage Interview, sounding soft and shit. It could have been a career-ending. It could have been some career-ending moves on their part, like, cause we saw Pac as some hard thug and shit. That's how the media portrayed him. So if we see images of him looking like he in a ballerina costume and him talking soft in that interview, it would have changed a lot of the fans could have changed on him like they changed on Ja Rule. That's all I'm saying. They could have changed on him. They could have flipped on him. Die-hard fans still gonna stick to the end. They gonna squinch their eyes a little bit, but they still gonna stick. But majority of the fans probably would have turned on Pac. I ain't gonna lie. Only reason everybody worship Pac now cause he dead. Alright? If Pac was still alive, it'd be niggas coming out the woodwork dissing Pac like a motherfucker. His own members, probably some of the outlaws would have made disses. He probably, cause Tupac was burning bridges with niggas. He was burning bridges. So if he kicked some members out of Thug Life, if he kicked some members out of the Outlaws, believe me, they gonna diss him and they gonna expose everything. They gonna come back with disses because they trying to eat. So I could see if he kicked Fatal out the Outlaws, like they said Fatal stole his Rolex and all this shit. If he had kicked Fatal out the Outlaws and shit, Fatal would have came back dissing Pac. I'm telling you, it would have came back. He came back dissing Pac. Some members of the Thug Life group would have came out dissing Pac later on. If he burned bridges with people he had music relations with, yeah, that's what hip hop do. Don't act like hip hop don't do that. Hip hop do that all the time. Motherfucker, you break bread with motherfucker, next day it was all good just a week ago. Now motherfuckers dissing you, threatening you and all this shit. It happens. It would have happened. Motherfuckers would have been dissing Pac left and right, exposing him, saying, oh, he ain't real. He ain't this, he ain't that. They would have been exposing him. And it would have been, might have been career ending. Pac would have had to have, like I'm saying, Pac is looked at like a god right now because he's dead. But Pac looked at like a mortal man when he was alive. So a lot of that shit would have hit Pac hard. And probably wouldn't be able to bounce back from some of them disses. I don't know. He probably could have bounced back. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Jay-Z would have been on him. Would have dissed him. You had Lil Kim would have came back dissing him. You had Junior Mafia probably would have said something. Biggie punk ass. I'm sorry, I called Biggie. I know God rest the dead, but Biggie was acting like a punk. He was scared to diss Pac. He was dissing Pac subliminally. He acting like he was scared. But yeah, man, it probably would have Pac would have had a lot of pressure on him. Nas would have came, but him and Nas squashed that shit. So I don't know about that one. But yeah, all these people claiming they love Pac would have been dissing the fuck out of Pac. They love him now because he's dead. But if he was alive, these same niggas talking about how much love they got and how loyal they are would have been coming out dissing them Pac, would have been coming out doing interviews, talking about he didn't do this, he didn't do that. He fucked us on this, he fucked us on that. He ain't real, he an actor. Nigga, I'm telling you, that's what it would have been. Cause Pac, like I said, Pac would have burnt bridges with a lot of dudes. And a lot of dudes would have responded because Pac was just had that fire in him like that, man. So yeah, I mean, people love him today because he dead, and people admire him today because he dead. He get a pass for a lot of that shit that he did. Motherfuckers get a pass. Pac get a pass for a lot of shit. Anybody else would have been roasted to death. Y'all know this shit. Anybody else do the shit Pac did would have been roasted. But Pac gets a fucking God pass. I'm telling you. Pac gets a motherfucking pass like no other in the history of hip hop got a pass before. Pac get that fucking pass, nigga. I'm telling you, Pac get that fucking pass. He get a pass. Y'all get Pac pass just like y'all give Michael Jackson passes. You know. Young Thug do some shit like that Michael Jackson did. Young Thug don't get no pass. But Michael Jackson ain't never wore no dress either. But if Young Thug was to put on makeup, look, Michael Jackson, Prince, they get passes. Michael Jackson, Prince, Tupac, they all get passes. You know why they get passes? Because they fucking great. They fucking great. That's why they get passes. Their greatness shines over that other shit. The greatness just overshines all that other shit. That's why they get passes. Pac greatness shine over the ballerina costume, the tutu you saw him in, or whatever that fucking shit you saw him in. His greatness shines over that. His greatness shines over that little 17-year-old video where he seems to be real feminine. His greatness shines. His greatness shines over the dry snitching allegations. Niggas forget that because Pac greatness shines over that shit. Any other rapper career be over, wouldn't be able to survive that shit. You know, they wouldn't get no respect, even in death. But Pac greatness overshines all that shit. Just like Michael Jackson. Niggas love Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson with the makeup, looking like a woman and talking the way he talk. His greatness outshines that shit. If he was a less talented person, motherfuckers wouldn't be studying. Motherfuckers would be laughing at Michael Jackson, dogging him out. But because he's so talented, he outshines that other shit, that feminine shit. He outshines that shit. Prince the same way. Prince wear high heels. He gets a pass. Prince, do all this shit. He gets a pass because Prince was looked at as he doing it for the women. He's sexual to the women. He ain't gay. A lot of niggas would say Prince wasn't gay. But Prince looked like a gay motherfucker. Prince looked gay as a motherfucker. Eyelashes, Maybelline, eyeshadow, all that shit. Prince looked gay as a motherfucker. Well, Prince get a pass from real niggas. Because his greatness outshines. I mean, Prince looked at us like a fucking icon legend, man. You ain't looking at Prince, oh, that nigga faggot. Ain't nobody, any other person y'all be saying, oh, that nigga faggot. Look at that faggot ass nigga. Be laughing at the nigga. But with Prince, y'all respect that nigga eyeshadow. Y'all respect that nigga makeup. Y'all respect that nigga high heels. Y'all will respect that shit. I'm telling you, real niggas will respect that shit. Any other nigga will be looked at like a transvestite. But greatness outshines the bullshit. And some niggas just ain't that great. Like Young Thug is not that great. He can't outshine that gay shit. That's why niggas don't accept Young Thug. Niggas are ragging on Young Thug like, get your fruity ass out of here. He can't outshine that great. He can't outshine that feminine, his feminine characteristic. He can't outshine it. He can't. He ain't gonna get no pass for that. But yeah, that's what I think, man. A lot of these niggas saying they love Pac would be dissing the hell out of Pac if he was alive. I'm telling you, all of them. That's how it is, though. When you're dead, you're immortalized. And even though Pac was great too, and that's what makes him even greater in death because he was great while he was alive, and people respect that. But that's it.